Mary was just 15 years old when her mother married John, her stepfather. At first, Mary tried to adjust to the new family dynamic. But John's behavior made her uncomfortable. He would stare at her, linger too close, and make suggestive comments. Mary felt uneasy, sensing something was wrong. One day, John entered her room when she was almost naked, without knocking. "What are you doing?" Mary demanded. "Just checking on you," John replied, his smile unsettling. Mary became so scared. She began avoiding John, her stepfather, staying out of the house. But John's presence haunted her. One evening, Mary was cooking dinner in the kitchen when John approached her. "Hey, Mary, you're looking lovely today," John said, his voice laced with an unsettling tone. Mary felt uneasy, sensing his intentions. "Thanks, sir," she replied, trying to sound neutral. John stepped closer, his hand reaching out to touch her arm. Mary swiftly moved away, creating distance. "Sir, stop. You're my mother's husband," Mary reminded him firmly. John's expression turned persuasive. "Ah, come on, Mary. I'm just showing affection," he said. Mary's voice remained firm. "It's not right. We are one family." John's eyes lingered, making Mary uncomfortable. "You're growing up to be a beautiful woman, Mary," he whispered. Mary's anxiety spiked. "Sir, please leave me alone." John's smile faded, replaced by frustration. "Fine. But you're misunderstanding me, Mary." Mary stood her ground. "I understand perfectly." John stormed out of the kitchen, leaving Mary shaken. Despite Mary's clear rejection, John persisted. Whenever her mother was away, John would find excuses to be near Mary. He'd linger in doorways, make suggestive comments, and leave lingering touches. Mary tried avoiding him, but John was relentless. One evening, Mary sat alone in her room, torn. Should I tell Mom? She wondered. Will she believe me? Fear and doubt crept in her. What if she thinks I'm lying? Mary recalled her mother's words. When John came to marry her, "John is a good man. He loves us." But Mary couldn't see the love again. All she could see is destruction. John's actions spoke louder than words. Mary mustered courage and decided to confide in her mother. She chose a moment when her mother was relaxed. She approached her in the sitting room. "Mom, we need to talk," Mary said, voice trembling. Her mother's expression turned concerned. "What's wrong, sweetie?" Mary took a deep breath. "It's your husband. He's been making advances on me." Her mother's face froze. "What do you mean?" Mary recounted the incidents. Mary's mother's expression changed from concern to shock, then anger. "Where did you learn such evil things, Mary?" she snapped. "School, I suppose," she spat. "How would you even know what advances mean at your age?" Mary felt her heart sink. "Mom, I'm telling you the truth," she pleaded, but her mother wouldn't listen. "You're lying. John, my husband, would never do such things." Mary's eyes welled up with tears. "Why won't you believe me?" she cried. Her mother's face turned red with rage. "Shut up. Don't repeat such nonsense again." Mary felt a stinging slap on her cheek. The pain shot through her face, but the emotional hurt was deeper. Her own mother didn't believe her. Mary retreated to her room, shattered. "Why didn't Mom believe me?" she sobbed. "Doesn't she trust me?" Mary felt alone, vulnerable. John's actions now seemed justified. "No one will believe me," Mary thought. "Maybe I'm overreacting." Doubt crept in. Mary's confidence crumbled. Days passed, and Mary withdrew. Her mother's reaction had silenced her, but the pain lingered. As Mary's mother angrily stormed out of the sitting room, John emerged from the shadows. He had been listening, hidden by the door. Mary, still sobbing, didn't notice him approach. "Mary, dear," John whispered, his voice dripping with malice. "Did you really think your mother would believe you?" Mary's tears paused, replaced by fear. "Leave me alone," she whispered. John chuckled, sitting beside her. "You're so naive, Mary. Forget about telling your mother, she'll never believe you." John's hand reached out, stroking her hair. "Cooperate with me, and I'll take care of you." Mary shuddered, shrinking away. "Don't touch me." John's expression turned sinister. Your mother will protect you. I'm the one who provides for this family. You need me, Mary. Mary's heart raced, panic setting in. Get away. John leaned in, his breath hot against her ear. You're mine now. Mary's scream was trapped in her throat. Days passed, and John's harassment continued. Mary felt trapped, unable to escape. John would whisper sinister sweet nothings. Come on, Mary. Accept me. I'll give you everything you need. Forget about your mommy, she'll never find out. Mary's anxiety skyrocketed. She avoided John, but he was everywhere. In the hallway, kitchen, even her room. Leave me alone. Mary pleaded, but John wouldn't stop. One evening, Mary's mother worked late. John saw his chance. Mary, let's talk, he said, his voice low. Mary tried to flee, but John blocked her. You're special, Mary. I'll take care of you. Your mother doesn't understand you. Mary's fear turned to anger. Get away from me. John's eyes flashed with rage. You ungrateful girl, you'll regret this. Later in the day, Mary sat alone in her room, feeling defeated. She thought, my mom didn't believe me. She only believes her husband. John's threats echoed in her mind. You're mine now. No one will believe you. Mary felt trapped. If I don't have anywhere to go, if my mom's husband creates lies about me, I'll be stuck. Tears streamed down her face. Why won't anyone listen? In desperation, Mary considered surrender. Maybe I should just give in, let him have his way, but a part of her resisted. No, I won't let him win, yet. The fear and isolation wore her down. Mary reluctantly accepted her situation. She decided to give in to John's demands. I'll do what he wants, she thought. Maybe it'll be easier, but deep down, Mary knew she was sacrificing her own well-being. Mary's mother left for the market, leaving John and Mary alone in the house. John sat in the living room, watching TV. Mary approached him, her heart racing. Sir, she said, trying to sound calm, I've thought about it. I accept your proposal. John's eyes lit up. Really? He asked, a sly smile spreading. Mary nodded. I won't fight it anymore. John jumped up, embracing Mary tightly. My dear, I'll do anything for you, he whispered. He showered her with kisses. Mary felt a wave of revulsion. What have I done? John pulled back, gazing into her eyes. You won't regret this, he promised. But Mary already did. She realized her mistake. John's grip tightened around her. You're mine now, he whispered. Mary's heart sank. What have I gotten myself into? John showered Mary with affection, driving her to school and picking her up afterwards. Their bond grew stronger, and John couldn't bear to sleep without bidding Mary good night. Mary's mother noticed the change and felt uneasy, her mind racing with suspicions. One evening, she confronted John. Is there something going on between you and Mary? She asked, her voice laced with jealousy. John feigned shock. How could you think that? He replied. I'm just showing her love, so she doesn't feel abandoned by her father. Mary's mother hesitated, and John seized the opportunity. You're being ridiculous, he said, his tone convincing. I'm just being a good stepfather. Mary's mother doubted her instincts, believing John's words. She felt guilty for suspecting him and apologized. John smiled, relieved. I understand, he said. You're just concerned about Mary's well-being. But John knew the truth. As the days passed, John's grip on Mary tightened. He controlled her every move, dictating what she wore and who she spoke to. Mary's mother remained oblivious, blinded by John's words. John's abuse continued, and Mary felt trapped. She couldn't confide in her mother, fearing disbelief. 3 months passed, and Mary began feeling unwell. Fatigue consumed her, and her body ached. Her mother noticed the change and grew concerned. Mary, what's wrong? She asked, but Mary remained silent. One day, Mary's mother insisted on taking her to the hospital. The doctor's words shook them both. Mary is pregnant. Mary's mother was furious, her face red with rage. How could this happen? She demanded. Mary trembled, tears streaming down her face. Who did this to you? Her mother pressed, but Mary remained silent. The ride home was tense. Mary's mother seethed with anger, her mind racing with questions. When they arrived home, Mary's mother stormed into the house, her anger boiling over. "Who did this to you?" she demanded, shaking Mary. But Mary's tears suddenly turned to anger. "You!" Mary shouted, her voice trembling. "You didn't believe me. I told you about John, your so-called husband, but you chose to side with him. Your precious husband. You didn't protect me, your own daughter." Mary's mother reeled, stunned by Mary's words. "How could you not believe me?" Mary continued, her voice rising. "I came to you, scared and vulnerable, and you dismissed me. You let him harm me, Mom. You let him ruin me." Mary's mother felt the weight of guilt crushing her. She tried to speak, but Mary cut her off. "You're so disappointed in me?" Mary spat. "You should be disappointed in yourself. You failed me, Mom. You failed to protect me." The words hung in the air, like a challenge. Mary's mother crumbled, breaking down in tears. Mary turned and walked away, leaving her mother shattered. "I'm sorry, Mary," her mother cried out, but Mary was gone. Mary's mother waited, seething with rage, for John to return home. When he walked in, she unleashed her fury. "You monster!" she screamed. "How could you get my daughter pregnant?" John smirked, unfazed. "You're ungrateful," he retorted. "I took you and your daughter in. I provided for you." Mary's mother's anger boiled over. "You're disgusting," she spat. "You're supposed to protect Mary, not harm her, but instead you got her pregnant. You are so shameless, John. I'm so disappointed in you." "He goat," John sneered. "Why not? I can take care of both of you. Marry, and we'll have more children. I'll provide for everything." Mary's mother was appalled. "You're insane," she shouted. John raised his hand to beat her, and she pushed John. He stumbled, fell, and hit his head on the table. The room fell silent. John lay motionless on the floor. Mary's mother trembled, shocked. "John," she whispered, but he didn't respond. He was dead. Mary's mother felt a mix of emotions, relief, guilt, and fear. She knew her life would never be the same. Mary's mother shook John, screaming, "Wake up! John, wake up!" But he lay motionless. Reality dawned on her. John was dead. She felt overwhelmed, thinking, "What have I done? I killed my husband." Guilt consumed her, remembering Mary's words, "You didn't protect me." She thought, "I failed my daughter, and now I've killed my husband." In despair, she rushed to the kitchen, grabbed a knife, and prepared to end her life. Just then, Mary returned, seeking her belongings. She saw her mother, knife in hand, and froze. "Mom, no." Mary screamed, dropping her bags. Mary rushed to her mother, wresting the knife away. "Please, Mom, don't do this," Mary begged, tears streaming down her face. Mary's mother collapsed, sobbing. "I'm sorry, Mary. I failed you," she whispered. Mary held her close. "We'll get through this together," Mary promised. Hours passed, and Mary's calm demeanor returned. She turned to her mother with a resolute expression. "Mom, we need to call the family. Let's tell them John fell down the stairs and died instantly. We rushed him to the hospital, but it was too late." Her mother nodded, understanding the necessity of the plan. They made the calls, and the family gathered, mourning John's sudden passing. The hospital corroborated their story, and the authorities closed the case. Relieved, Mary's mother hugged her tightly. "Thank you, Mary. I don't deserve your forgiveness." Mary smiled, tears welling up. "I love you, Mom. We'll heal together." "Mary, my dear, I failed to protect you. Can you ever forgive me?" Mary embraced her. "I forgave you, Mom. We're in this together. Months passed, and Mary's pregnancy progressed. Finally, she gave birth to a beautiful daughter, named Emma. Mary's mother beamed with joy, holding Emma close. New beginnings, she whispered. Mary smiled. We've come full circle, Mom. Love conquers all.